Well, the college basketball season is back, and that means we get a chance to talk Earlham men's basketball with head coach Jason POLYKOFF right here on Inside Earlham Men's Basketball and Radio Troy Digital Sports. Season will kick off officially November 15th at home against Kenyon. That'll be a game you can see right here on Radio Troy Digital Sports. Coach, good to see you again,
Good
sir.
to see you.
How you doing?
Welcome. It's good to be back.
Boy,
for another year. Fourth year.
Not hard to believe, huh?
Yeah, well, I'd like to say it went by quickly, but it at times was very long.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, all the hard work that you and your staff put in, you can see, and of course we'll follow you throughout the entire season, but you can see you're starting to get that climb up that hill, aren't you?
Yeah, finally. Yeah, but it's been good. We got a good group, and it finally has some experience on our team, which is what we've been lacking really the first 3 years that I've been here. Just a lot of new faces every year. It's a lot of new faces, and we finally have a core group of guys back, older experience, know what to expect. So yeah, we're finally. I think we're over that hump.
Yeah,
so.
This is your team now. I mean, 3 years in, I think you have maybe one or two seniors on this year's team that are left over from the previous regime. So this is really yours now, isn't it?
This is it. Now, in fact, everybody on the roster has come to Earlham because we've encouraged them to come to Earlham.
Okay,
so
good.
there really is nobody on the roster left over.
Okay.
The two seniors, one of whom transferred mid-year 2 years ago. He is somebody that come onto the team, kind of walked on and is been really good for the energy of the team. But the other one, Elijah Wilson Thomas. When I got the job midsummer, we needed bodies, and he was one of the first people I reached out to. Okay. So he is a recruit from our era at Earlham, but so he's not a carryover. But I didn't have the normal kind of saw him playing this summer, followed him throughout the year, bring him in. It wasn't the normal recruiting.
Yeah. So process. I'll correct myself. This is his entire team.
Whatever.
So it's all yours. Yeah. So that has to feel pretty good, though, because now you have all the kids that you've recruited. They understand your system. Freshmen are still learning, but now they know what you expect, and you know what to expect from them.
No, absolutely, and that's the best part. Yeah. It's especially since we have 17 returning players. It's not starting over. Yeah. I mean, the first year here clearly was starting over. Second year here, we brought in 7 freshmen. Last year, we brought in 9 freshmen. So every year, it felt like when we started practice, we were starting from scratch because we were teaching half the team what is expected. Yeah. This year, it's only been a handful of players. So we've hit the ground running with practice, and the guys are really pumped and energized, as are the coaches. So it's been good. It's been good.
And by the way, I had a chance to see your team a little bit this past Saturday. We'll talk about that in a couple of moments. And for those of you that don't know, the Quakers will play another exhibition for you guys. It'll be a real game for the team that you're playing on Saturday. We'll talk more about that coming up here in just a couple of moments as well. But I do want you to mark it down. Hopefully you'll have a good crowd here on November 15th. Yeah. I thought it was a pretty decent crowd for a scrimmage the other day.
Absolutely.
To see you guys. And, fans are excited about Earlham basketball this year.
And I'll tell you what, that's what I think it is. I think every year we get a few more heads that trickle in, just like, what's going on over there? And, up the street in Richmond. So, yeah, it's been good. Every year we've gotten progressively better, and because of that, we've gotten a few more interested people in the stands, and I hope they enjoyed what they saw this past weekend.
I think that comes with stability in the coaching staff. I think it comes when players stay on the program for as long as they have, because they develop more friends and we become more interested because they stay here. I think that's part of it.
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, the consistency,
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, and I think people are recognizing that just how serious we're taking it, how the vision we have for the program, and that we are, it's been a process, but we're in it to reach our end goal, and I think people are excited about that. Yeah, and that's exciting on our part, because we put a lot of hard work in, from coaches to players to everybody involved, and to see people kind of taking an interest, it feels good. Feels good.
By the way, next week we'll probably break this team down a little bit more leading up to your first game. But take me back, and the fans that are watching, back to the scrimmage on Saturday. You had a chance to see, at least go out against somebody besides yourselves. What did you see that you liked, and some of the areas that you know you got to continue to work on for next week?
Well, that's the big thing you mentioned there, is we got to play against somebody other than ourselves. So I can go on a whole tangent about how I think the preseason is too long in Division III college basketball, but I won't do that. But they're playing against each other for the last 2.5 weeks, and they're ready to play somebody else. So that was good. Well, I tell you, there was a lot I liked, to be honest with you. There's a lot I liked. We put in a slightly new system this year, and I wanted to see what it would look like against somebody other than ourselves. And I think for the most part, it went well. The team we played against, North Park University, they ended up sharing the regular season championship last year. They were in the CCIW, and they were really good, and traditionally really good. And this year, they lost a few key players, but they're still really good. And I thought we matched up pretty well with them. So that I liked. I liked our defensive energy, our defensive intensity. There's a few players that I was really curious to see what it would look like, putting them against live action with this style of play, and I was really pleased with how they did. So overall, a lot of positives that came out of it. But at the same time, there's a lot we still need to work on, and we're absolutely not perfect by any stretch. There were a lot of, I think, more turnovers than there needed to be, unforced turnovers. I liked the energy and the effort, but sometimes guys got a little excited and went outside of what our principles were, and that caused some trouble. I think that's just first game excitement. So while I was really pleased with a lot of it, I also know there's still, of course, a lot to work on.
Yeah, I was surprised. You have a few players that are banged up early, which sometimes is. I mean, it just happens. You can't control that, but you have, at least it appears to me, if they get healthy, you got a lot of depth on this basketball team.
Oh boy, and that's the part that's the most exciting. I think that's also been an issue in years past. Is maybe our top 5, we've got a core group of guys, but it was hard to go deep in that bench, especially later in the season. And this year, I mean, it's one of those good problems to have, where guys are really going to be competing for playing time and making each other better because of it. But yeah, we had about 4 or 5 guys in their track suits on the bench who are banged up right now. That when they come back, I know they can help us. So it's going to be good. I'm really excited about the guys that are healthy and playing right now, but also excited about when those injured guys come back and kind of how they fit in.
I like that and I know what you're saying. For those that don't understand that part, in practice, you got to be ready to go because there's somebody behind you ready to take your spot if you're not playing well.
Yeah. And then it's also one of those deals. Let's say you do divide up kind of your we'll call them strongest players with players that are fighting for those spots. Well, if you have those strongest players playing against guys that aren't very strong, well, they're not getting better, and they're just, getting pummeled every day in practice. Well, now when we practice, I don't care who I put on the court, it's a competitive practice, and that's how guys get better.
It certainly is. By the way, before we take a break, we'll talk about this Saturday, and then, of course, next week is the season opener. Your freshman class, talk about the recruiting over the offseason, and talk about those players that you brought in and how they kind of fit into the mold.
Yep, so we brought in 4 total players, 3 of whom are freshmen. We have one transfer, a junior transfer named Austin Dalabo. He transferred in from Wittenberg University. He's from Franklin, Ohio. Played high school basketball with Luke Kennard. So we recruited him out of high school, and at the end of the day, it was between us and Wittenberg. Chose Wittenberg. Came to his senses and realized that he should have been at Earlham, and transferred in this year. And he'll be I think a really big important piece to our success this year. And then we brought in 3 freshmen as well. One of whom plays football currently. His name's Jamel Barnes. He's from Muncie Central High School, and he will. I think he will certainly also play an integral role on our roster once he gets caught up. But right now he's still finishing the football season. And then two other forwards, forward/guards. One is a young man named Jason Slane. He's from Fishers, Indiana, went to Fishers High School, so played for a successful program, obviously, out of high school. And then the other one's name is Brad Bliss. And Brad is from Castile, New York, but went to a prep school in Connecticut, South Kent, which, if anybody knows anything about prep schools in New England, South Kent is one of the best, most well-recognized prep school basketball teams in the country. Produces high-level, high-major D1 players year in and year out. Well, Brad was the backup to a Division I player, and clearly a really, really good player in himself. So we're excited, super excited about all four of them, but especially the young guys and what they're going to do as they grow into our program. And they've already made great impacts, but I'm super excited about where they're going to be down the line as well.
All right. Tell you what, as we mentioned, the Quakers play an exhibition for them, but a real game for their opponent on Saturday. We'll talk about that coming up next. And, of course, the season opener coming up next week. We'll talk about that as well in just a couple of moments right here on Radio Troy Digital Sports.
For the past 35 years, Van Vliet Insurance has built a reputation of bringing a personal touch. That's because at Van Vliet, it's all about you, your needs, your life, and our town. Along with providing quality coverage to individuals, families, and local businesses, we're proud of our community and the opportunity we have to protect your future within it. Van Vliet Insurance, an Erie Insurance representative. Hometown professionals at work for you.
We welcome you back once again inside Earlham men's basketball right here on Radio Troy Digital Sports. Head coach Jason POLYKOFF with us. And I forgot to mention that you do scrimmage on Wednesday. So fans, by the way, can come out here to the Athletics and Wellness Center. You're going to scrimmage DePaul. Talk a little bit about that, and then we'll talk about Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. So DePaul, obviously, in-state Division III, similar academic institution. So we figured we should schedule something against them, whether it's a scrimmage or a regular season game. And so they graciously decided to come down here to scrimmage us, which is fantastic. Also, I don't know if, how many people know this, but on their coaching staff is an Earlham basketball alum as well.
Really?
So it's probably be nice for him to come back and come back to the old stomping ground. But anyway, so we're going to play DePaul on Wednesday here. We'll end up playing 20 minutes and an extra 10-minute just to get everybody in the game and see what we got.
Good.
But that'll be a really good test for us. They're an NCAC school, traditionally very, very strong.
Yeah.
So all this is meant to, playing North Park, now playing DePaul, it's all meant to get us prepared for our regular season. Yeah. So this will be a good contest for us, a good test for us, and we're excited to play them.
I'm glad you get a couple of scrimmages.
Yeah.
I just, you and I talked in previous years, you never quite feel you're ready for that first game, but boy, you're getting a chance now with basically 3 before you play next week.
Oh, I know I'm excited, and our guys are excited about it. You just, after a while, you just get tired of playing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one of those situations where somebody scores and you're excited for the offense, but then was it a defensive breakdown? And it's like, well, let's play somebody else and figure some things out.
Yeah.
So this will be good. This will be good. We're excited about it.
What time will that start?
That'll be a 7 p.m. Game Wednesday night, open to anybody who wants to come.
Okay, very good. Now, Saturday, and this is always different in college basketball these days, where it used to be you could play like, Sisters of the Poor and all that stuff, but now they've kind of changed that a little bit. So you're playing a team that's in Indiana, Oakland City.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that and how that works out for them as a regular season game, but it's a scrimmage, an exhibition for you.
Right. So Oakland City is a Division II school. Division II rules, they can start, I think, November 8th is when they can start playing their first regular season games. Okay. And Division III rules state we can't start until November 15th. As part of the guidelines for NCAA, it can be that we play them. If we title it an exhibition game, they can title it a regular season game since Division II rules state that they can. So that's how it's going to work out. It's going to be a regular season game for them, exhibition for us, but we'll treat it like a regular game. We're not going to go out there and we never not try to win, but
Sure.
We're not going to go out there and not try to win. So it'll be, I think for us, it's a really good test since the next week will be our first regular season game, a really good dress rehearsal for
Yeah.
our first regular season game against a team that treated it that
Yeah,
way. You know,
you bet. That's fun. I like that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's great to go against great competition to really see where you're at.
Oh, absolutely. And we went down there 2 years ago, and it was a close game, and just for our guys, again, just getting some experience on the road as well.
Yeah.
So we'll travel down there Friday night, stay the night, play them on Saturday. That's a good experience for our guys as well in the preseason. So we'll have 2 home games and an away scrimmage before we start our first regular season game. So
All right,
works out well.
We're going to hold some of that back. As I said, next week we'll really break this team down a little
Yep.
bit. We'll have plenty to talk about with DePaul Wednesday and your game against Oakland City on Saturday, and
Yep.
then your opener next week.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you ready to go?
Before we knew it, it's here. Well, I'm ready. I hope the players are ready. I think honestly, and this is not just coach talk, I think that this is a really good group who is really motivated and excited about what this team can do this year. And we're playing a different style this year that I think will be super entertaining for fans to come see. It might cause me to pull my hair out a little bit, but I also think the guys really like playing in this style, and I think it's going to ultimately end up helping us be pretty successful. So if anybody wants to come check it out and see what we look like, you're more than welcome to come to any game this year.
All right, Coach, good to see you again.
Thank you, Troy, as
See you
always.
next week, okay?
Appreciate
Good luck
it.
this week
Oh, thank you.
as well.
Appreciate it.
And as always, try to stay injury-free.
Yeah, we'll knock on wood for that one, yeah.
Yeah, that's always big this time of year. Hey, don't forget, we'll talk with the head coach again next Monday, and make sure you check him out Wednesday again, 7 o'clock here at the Athletics and Wellness Center against DePaul. Come on out and see the Quakers, and we'll talk to you again next week right here on Radio Troy Digital Sports.